Every single second, your bone marrow manufactures roughly 2.5 million new red blood cells. And to maximize its internal storage capacity, each one of these cells violently ejects its own nucleus right before entering your bloodstream. In our last episode, we broke down the complex mixture of plasma, platelets, and cells that make up whole blood. Today, we are looking exclusively at the most abundant cellular component of them all, the erythrocyte. By discarding its internal machinery, the erythrocyte becomes a highly specialized, single-purpose cargo vehicle. It exists entirely to ferry oxygen from your lungs to your tissues and bring carbon dioxide back out. Your body has absolutely no backup system for this oxygen delivery network. Human survival hinges entirely on the continuous mass production and the absolute structural perfection of this exact cell. That structural perfection starts with its shape. The cell is a biconcave disc, pinched in the middle like a donut without the hole punched all the way through. This specific geometry maximizes the cell's surface area, allowing it to pack in millions of molecules of an iron-rich protein called hemoglobin. Because they are densely packed with iron, red blood cells carry a unique physical trait. They have the highest specific gravity, or density, of any component in your blood. Clinical science relies entirely on that physical weight. If a patient is bleeding, they don't necessarily need a transfusion of whole blood. Blood bankers use extreme centrifugal force to isolate those exact cells. By placing donor blood into a refrigerated centrifuge and applying a heavy spin at 5,000 Gs, the sheer physical weight of the erythrocytes forces them straight to the bottom of the bag, cleanly separating them from the lighter white blood cells and liquid plasma. What you are left with at the bottom of that separation process is a dense, concentrated product known as packed red blood cells, or RBCs. This is the single most heavily transfused blood component in modern medicine. By exploiting the natural physical density of the erythrocyte, a single unit of whole donor blood can be divided up to treat multiple patients, ensuring that the recipient gets the exact oxygen-carrying capacity they need without wasting a drop of the other components. Inside your body, these cells endure a brutal commute. To deliver oxygen deep into tissues, they have to contort and squeeze their way through microscopic capillaries that are a fraction of their own diameter. Maintaining that extreme flexibility requires a constant supply of cellular energy, known as ATP. A healthy erythrocyte can generate enough ATP to keep itself flexible and functional for about 120 days, before it degrades and is ultimately recycled in the spleen. But the moment blood leaves a donor's arm, that biological clock becomes a severe liability. Cut off from the body's natural nutrients, isolated RBCs sitting in a blood bank begin to rapidly deplete their ATP, stiffening and breaking down. This chart compares the natural 120-day life cycle of a red cell to its survival in medical storage. To prevent the cells from dying in the bag, scientists arrest their metabolism by refrigerating them at 4 degrees Celsius and mixing in specialized nutrient additive solutions like 8-Sol. This artificially sustains their energy reserves for exactly 42 days. If a blood bank captures an exceptionally rare blood type, they can push that timeline much further. By treating the cells with a protective glycerol solution, they can be cryopreserved at negative 65 degrees Celsius, locking them in suspended animation for up to 10 full years. Though once thawed, they require an FDA-approved rejuvenation solution to shock their ATP levels back to life. The engineering marvel of a modern blood bank is the ability to hit pause on a cell's biological clock, preserving its energy systems until the exact second a patient requires it. When this oxygen economy falters, the resulting condition is called anemia. Often, it begins simply as an iron deficiency. Without enough iron to manufacture hemoglobin, the body produces fewer, weaker red blood cells, leading to severe tissue hypoxia and exhaustion. But the breakdown can also be structural. In sickle cell anemia, a genetic mutation causes the hemoglobin proteins to crystallize. The vital, flexible biconcave shape collapses into a rigid, sharp crescent that snags inside capillaries, triggering agonizing blockages. Severe blood disorders require immediate therapeutic transfusions, but infusing a patient with raw, packed red blood cells straight from a centrifuge can be incredibly dangerous for vulnerable recipients. Hidden within those packed cells are lingering donor white blood cells. If transfused, these foreign immune cells can trigger severe febrile reactions, sudden, dangerous spikes in the recipient's body temperature. To prevent this, blood banks mandate a process called leukodepletion, passing the blood through a microscopic filter that physically traps and removes the white cells before they ever reach a patient. For patients with severe plasma allergies, the cells undergo an additional layer of processing called saline washing. Machines repeatedly flush the filtered red cells with clear saline, stripping away any leftover donor plasma proteins until only the pure, uncontaminated oxygen carriers remain. Safely treating a blood disorder requires a deep understanding of the erythrocyte's mechanics, paired with the precise removal of every other biological element that might harm the patient. Erythrocytes are the tireless engines of human survival, but by ejecting their internal machinery to carry oxygen, they render themselves entirely defenseless. They have no biological weapons to fight off pathogens or viruses. To survive, they rely on a highly trained, aggressive security force that actively patrols the bloodstream to hunt down microscopic threats. Be sure to subscribe for our next episode, where we decode the tactics of the human immune system. Because while red blood cells deliver the essential fuel for life, they survive only because of the unseen, violent army protecting the delivery routes.